when you get more tokenization,
Mhm.
and when you get sort of like, like large scale tokenization, even if it's a tokenization of, a type of fiat, you're going to get more users, more adoption, I think, of tokens in general. And I think that's just going to drive value, I think, to the sort of, I would say, the mainstream tokens like Bitcoin, and more use cases in terms of like, not just centralized wallets, but decentralized wallets. Because I think once you go down that rabbit hole of actually using tokens as a value of exchange, using tokens in day to day, you're just going to realize that, hey, this is.
According to Wei Zhou, the CDO of Coins. A cryptocurrency exchange located in the Philippines, it is the emerging markets that are propelling the adoption of cryptocurrencies. Zhao recently discussed topics such as cryptocurrency adoption, Bitcoin, and regulation with David Lin, who is producer at Kiko News. Before proceeding further in this video, please make sure to click on the subscribe button below to stay updated with our latest content. Zhou said the stablecoin market is a growing sector, as evidenced by the concerted push to roll out central bank digital currencies, which are essentially stablecoins nominated in local currencies. Zhou said that this is unlikely given Bitcoin's volatility. CBDCs are virtual representations of fiat currency that are created and managed by central banks. According to Zhao, the stablecoin market is expanding as demonstrated by the collective effort to introduce central bank digital currencies, which can be thought of as stablecoins denominated in national currencies. To that end, he preferred to call the tipping point described by Lin hyper-tokenization, in reference to tokens that can fulfill transactability through price stability.
How you can stabilize sort of around a certain thing, but if it stabilizes, then it's sort of like all the other like sort of thesis of Bitcoin goes away, in that it needs to be a value of exchange, right? Like I said before, like when we're signing a deal for $10, we need to know, or even if it's denominated in pesos or in Sing dollars or Viet or Thai baht, whatever the value that we sign exchange in, like both sides needs to sort of have some kind of an agreement that this is the value of exchange, right? And I think with sort of the fluctuation in price and the volatility in price of Bitcoin, it will be really hard for Bitcoin to act as a value of exchange, right? Just because of the volatility in its price, and that which provides sort of like the other use case of Bitcoin, which is like storage of value and increase in the value that you hold, right? So I think that sort of like that actually conflicts, and until sort of someday that conflicts gets resolved, then it's really hard. But I think other types of tokens can provide that use case, right? And I think you're seeing that now with sort of like CDBCs, which essentially are just basically just going to be stable coins that's denominated in local currencies. I think more and more you're going to see more and more sort of stable coin like type of tokens, that sort of like firm up the value of exchange, or from T plus 3 plus 5%, or T plus
Mm,
5 to 5%, to
yeah.
T plus 0 at T plus 0 plus 0. Right? Which is like, how do we drive, which kind of exists in crypto today, and pretty close, right? You can actually send money with almost instant settlement and almost like zero fees, right? T plus 0 plus 0. I think once you start using token, you realize you can actually, transfer things, very different from banks, very different from other types of, payment providers. Then you're gonna that's when sort of the aha moment happens, and you're gonna start moving more of your transactions into tokens, into crypto.
According to Wei Zhou, the adoption of cryptocurrencies is being driven by emerging markets due to the reliability provided by stablecoins pegged to the US dollar. Zhao shared his views with Kiko News on the process of achieving widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies. He highlighted that the volatility of Bitcoin is a significant obstacle in the way of its global adoption as a primary driver of cryptocurrency adoption. Zhou argued that transacting requires price stability, and a stable Bitcoin takes away the price appreciation aspect of investing in it in the first place. He also said, I believe that we're still very early in the growth and adoption of cryptocurrencies.
In addition to gaming, I think, in addition to sort of like, Bitcoin, right, whose biggest use case, I think, pretty popularly and pretty generally accepted as a storage of value use case. I think the second biggest use case for blockchain, I think globally, is actually the US dollar. You have $100 billion worth of US dollar stable coins in USDT, USDC, BUSD. And what that allows, I think it allows people in these countries that are either a combination of poor, not poor, but sort of, still developing or emerging, a combination of, maybe have economic uncertainty. In the case of Ukraine, you have like other types of uncertainty, right? In these kind of countries, people sort of still seek the safety of the US dollar. And I think the US dollar stablecoin provides that alternative, I think, to local currencies. And I think that's something that I think people in North America don't see, in that commerce takes place cross border, right? In the U.S., it's cross state, and Canada it's cross provinces, but commerce in Southeast Asia, in South Asia and Africa, and it's still cross border, right? The countries are generally, and you need some kind of currency to run that. And that's why I think the importance for coins is we're actually facilitating a lot of these remittances.
According to a 2022 Chainalysis, the adoption of cryptocurrencies is highest in Vietnam, the Philippines, and Ukraine. Regulators in the United States are exerting pressure on banks to terminate banking services for cryptocurrency platforms and exchanges, causing significant disruption within the crypto community with a recent decision. According to Wei Zhou, restoring trust in crypto is critical, but it's by no means the only factor that will determine the success of crypto this year and in the future. While inflation, interest rates, and the political climate will play a big role, I believe that smart regulations will be the biggest factor in restoring trust in crypto.
Less banking access, more adoption, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. Just because, crypto may be a faster, because if you think about it, like what people with money, right, you got to store it somewhere, right? And you have to invest it, and you have to seek yield on it and return on it. And I think, one comment that I kind of make is that, investing in tokens, right, or basically you're just investing in early stage startups, right, and some larger potential infrastructure that you see, right, in Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of the other layer ones, and potentially even layer twos. Like those are actually fundamental infrastructure plays, on the future of technology. Right. I think that before, 10 years ago, before, crypto, these kind of opportunities did not exist. Like nobody could invest in early stages of Google, Amazon, or even Netflix, right? Or even other gaming companies like Tencent or whatever, right? You can't only VCs, but now I think just average, retail investors, the right infrastructure can actually access those kind of investments. I think that's more on the crypto token side. But in terms of the unbanked, I'm a little bit hesitant to sort of to put sort of to comment on that. Just I haven't seen the data, but also I think with banking, like if you look at the U.S., right, it's still one of the more popular crypto countries, still the biggest.
Number 5.
Yeah, it's still, and it's fully banked, right? You have and it's sort of like maybe, and then you get sort of like Singapore or Hong Kong, crypto adoption in those countries are quite high. I think you have to sort of, if you can't just sort of look at, bank accounts, banking access. I think you have to also, you have to look at banking access plus, say I think GDP per capita. I think those are some of the more key numbers. Yeah.
Large-scale tokenization will lead to more users coming into the crypto ecosystem. While he corrected Lin on the trigger for mass adoption, the knock-on effect of more stablecoin users will catalyze the adoption of other tokens, including Bitcoin. Smart regulations will be the biggest factor in restoring trust in crypto, but they are not the only determinant of crypto's success this year and beyond. On the other hand, inflation, interest rates, and the political environment will also have a significant impact. Our conversation for today has come to an end. We welcome your opinions in the comment section below. If you found this content useful, please consider liking this video and subscribe to our channel. See you with another update.